Are Prince Harry and Meghan Markle going to stop dissing the British royal family in their new desire to gain some clout? And what have we seen at the Jordanian royal wedding today? Hello everyone, welcome to Royal News Network. My name is Brittany, and today we are talking about the report that came out last night, an exclusive to The Sun, basically saying, stop, hold the presses, Harry and Meghan from now on. Wouldn't you know it, they're going to stop dissing the royal family. They're going to stop talking and moaning and complaining about their time in the British monarchy. And apparently now they're going to go behind the camera. And I remember looking at that and thinking, right, what talent do they have to produce original, unique content? Because you know what? So far, we've seen diddly squat of that. And that's a huge problem for Harry and Meghan going forwards, is that what are they going to do? What are they going to do if they don't rag on the royal family? They don't really seem to have any other skill set besides whining and complaining. That seems to be their sole focus in life, is complaining about everything in their life. So it becomes a huge, huge point of contention. Can they actually do what they claim? I think there's a big factor here to say that, you know what, actually, maybe they can't. And particularly looking at some of Meghan's filmography, I think it's very evident that Harry and Meghan have absolutely nothing if they don't have the British royal family. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And we also have the Jordanian royal wedding. If you head over to my Twitter, RNN_royal news, I believe it is, I tweeted so much about the Jordanian royal wedding. I had been watching it since 8:30 in the morning, ended at about 3:34 in the afternoon. It has been a long day. It has been streaming constantly because I wanted to see the other royals, and then I had to wade through a bunch of other stuff not related to them, and we got to see the bride and the groom. It was just a wonderful, magical moment, and I will share a bit with you guys about what I saw, but I will do a whole video on the fashion on my fashion channel. If you want to go ahead and check it out over there, Royal Fashion News. I will put a link to the channel down below. And I also have a couple other things. I have a weekly newsletter, Royal Wire, and I have an upcoming trip to Germany and Austria. So if you guys want to head over to see some magical, amazing castles with me, spend some time, find other people who don't like Harry and Meghan and love just the royals in general, and chit chat about that, you are welcome to join me. I just got back from a trip to the UK with about 22 of my followers. It was a fantastic trip. I cannot say how great it was to just spend some time. It was actually the closest thing probably to that I've had to a vacation in a very long time, because I really kind of unplugged. And so it was just great to spend time with amazing people, share a bit about history, about the royals, and just so many different things. And we will be in Germany and Austria, which have a very strong royal connection, particularly Austria with the Habsburgs. But we also are in Munich, which has the Kingdom of Bavaria, and just several other things. It'll be in September. It'll be a wonderful, amazing time. So if you're interested in that, the link is down below. Everything closes for that June 7th. So if you're thinking about signing up, I have about 6 more spots for the initial batch. So if you guys want to head over there, that would be awesome. And before we go into Harry and Meghan, let's just talk about the Jordanian royal wedding. So this is a royal wedding between Crown Prince Hussein and Rajwa, and they got married today. It was a gigantic celebration. I mean, we think the British royal wedding was huge. This was, I felt like, on another level. I kept thinking, is it going to end? Is it going to end? I think they started dinner at like 10 o'clock at night. Unless the broadcast was like delayed by an hour, even then they started dinner at 9. It was completely dark when they started dinner, and I'm like, wow, that is a long day for the bride and groom. Hopefully they are able to enjoy a little bit of it. It was just chaos and craziness, but we did get Rajwa. She wore a custom Elie Saab dress, and I have to say, she looked stunning. Although I don't know if I quite like the really long train, and yet at the same time it looked detachable in that she had a silhouette of a slimmer dress on her body. I'm not sure if I totally liked that or not. That was where, but I did like the unique neckline. She also got a new tiara. And we also saw Catherine and William. This is the first foreign royal wedding that they've attended. And apparently William and Hussein are actually quite good friends. After the wedding, William gave him a big old hug. And Catherine and William traveled to Jordan in 2021. That was actually where we got their Christmas picture from. And Catherine spent part of her childhood in Jordan. So they just have a very deep connection there. And I feel like from what we've seen, this friendship has really grown over the last couple of years, to the point that actually, in addition to Catherine and William, the surprise royal wedding guest, which I scooped and the Daily Mail did not give me credit for, which I'm still a little ticked about, is that Carol Middleton and Pippa and her husband James were there. Yes. So I just happened to be, so I had waited all morning for the initial ceremony. So I did need to take a shower. So I took a shower. I got out, was watching the coverage again. I was like, oh my gosh, new things. And then I saw, wait, is that Carol Middleton? That looks like Carol Middleton. So I did a quick screenshot. And as people were telling me, when they blew it up, so because I circled her and everything, they saw Pippa and James there too. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is them. They are in the crowd. That was some amazing royal spotting on my part. Just literally kind of out of the corner of my eye, I was like, that looks like Carol Middleton. Is Carol Middleton there? Why, yes, indeed, she was, along with Pippa and Pippa's husband, James. There was also a video where you could clearly see them leaving the reception area. I don't know if they went to the banquet later. I'm unsure of that, because this appeared like what happened is they had a ceremony which only had 140 people there. Then they had a reception, which was a big party. And then they moved on to the banquet where Rajwa changed her gown. And so we had all the royals in their tiaras as well, because that was white tie. So I'm not sure if the reception was, I think the reception audience was different than the banquet audience. So this was definitely a little bit different than I think what we've normally seen when it comes to royal weddings, but there was obviously a huge celebration. They did a huge procession. There were tons of people on the street there to greet them. So there was just a lot of excitement. And the other surprise guest was actually Princess Beatrice. She and her husband Edo actually attended as well, which we were not anticipating at all. She's not a working royal. Apparently she is just good friends with Hussein. And so she was invited to attend. She actually got to attend the ceremony, which I feel like is a pretty big deal for her. And she got to attend the banquet, which was white tie, and she debuted her mother's tiara. So this has been, I think, probably 25 or so years since we've seen this tiara. And so I thought she looked gorgeous at both events. And Catherine especially as well looked magnificent. She wore the Queen Mary's Lover's Knot tiara and the pink version basically of the green dress she wore in Pakistan. And Crown Princess Mary has the same dress. So I feel like this was a smash hit for both ladies. I thought they looked absolutely lovely. And I was so excited to see Beatrice in a tiara again. And I think this is just proof, Charles, proof that you should just strip Harry and Meghan out of your minds, Charles, and look to Beatrice and Edo. I think they would be fantastic representatives of the United Kingdom. I feel like they put on a great face there in Jordan. I think they could really represent you here in the future. We also had a lot of other royals. King Wilhelm Alexander and Queen Maxima of the Netherlands attended, and their daughter attended the banquet. So this was her second tiara appearance. We also had King Philippe of the Belgians. He attended along with his daughter, so they attended the ceremony and then later the banquet as well. And we also had the Sultan of Brunei, the Sultan of Malaysia. We also had the former King and Queen of Spain, Juan Carlos and Sofia, which was a little odd because Juan Carlos had to abdicate because of controversy. So it's a little bit odd that he was there, but hey, what can you do? They don't have, I think, that many people to pull from because all of his daughters were caught up. His two daughters were caught up in controversy as well. King Philippe and his wife, Queen Letizia, also have a lot of work to do, and their daughters are still quite young, so they're not undertaking big foreign royal events like this. Leonore will turn 18 this year. After that point, she'll be slowly introduced in, like Amalia and Elizabeth, who are both quite young. In terms of royals, so Elizabeth is 20, 21, and Amalia, I believe it has turned 19 or will turn 19. I think she's 19 already. So, or will turn 19 later this, no, I think she's already turned 19. Yes, she will turn 20 in December, I believe. So we have all these royal ladies coming together. We also had a couple others, Crown Princess Mary, Crown Princess Victoria, and their husbands. So this would be Crown Prince Frederick of Denmark and Prince Daniel of Sweden. So it was just a wonderful royal watching moment, and always so exciting, especially just the grandeur of royalty. And it reminds you how incredibly stupid Harry and Meghan are to have left and then try to make everybody, the rest of the world, believe that in fact, actually them leaving, they're just better than the royals, and that they have more power now, more clout outside the monarchy. And you know what? That's just not the case. Because what they're actually finding out is that when you go to Hollywood, yes, you have the curiosity factor, of course you do. But at some point, you actually have to produce interesting and unique content, or you have to have a really, really good eye for content. And from what I've seen from Harry and Meghan, neither one of them have that skill set. There's a reason why Meghan Markle mostly failed in Hollywood.
I don't know what I'm just doing.
There's a reason why. And there's actually kind of an interesting thing that I pulled out this week, because I started rewatching Fringe for some reason. I needed a show to watch, and I was like, oh, I'll start watching Fringe on an airplane when it starts off with an accident on an airplane. That's not the best plan. But I started watching it, and what's interesting is that Meghan Markle is actually in the first 2 episodes of season 2, and they were clearly setting up her character to have a much bigger role. So she had quite a large role in episode 1, but by episode 2, I think she had 1 or 2 spoken lines, and they wrote her character out of the series. And I think I know why. She wasn't good. She really is not that good at this. So go ahead and take a watch here of her sort of introduction to what they call this Fringe division.
You're coming up on your last chance to turn back.
Are you kidding?
Agent Jessup. Welcome to Fringe Division.
Agent Jessup, hi.
Hi, this is my father, Walter.
Yes, I have a couple questions for you.
How bad is she?
We don't know.
Excuse me?
How do you not know?
You still haven't told me what it is you do. You, Agent Dunham, your father. I checked with the field office. They said that all of your work is
Classified. And that you don't have access. I don't have time for this.
It's not that
In this scene, you can clearly tell she's being introduced to basically all the major characters here. One of the other major characters has an accident, and so she wasn't in this scene, but she's being introduced to this division, clearly setting her up to be part of it. And they had her being this FBI agent. They made her look kind of plain, and her job was to really, and I do feel for her here because this is hard, her job was to deliver a lot of exposition. But the thing about Meghan when it came to exposition in these scenes is that she's not interesting at it. She's not good at it. You could literally slap any other actress in there and they could just do the exact same thing, because it felt like as you watched it, Meghan Markle was just delivering lines. She wasn't playing a character. And I think that's key here. Playing a character requires an element of creativity. You have to think. So her character's name was Amy Jessup. I only made a note of it. I would have completely forgotten it. I only made a note of it because it was her character, and I thought this was a great point to make, which is that she didn't seem to think through her background of her character. You had to come in and you had to perhaps create a history for Amy Jessup. Perhaps she went through the Quantico Training Academy and she was close to being this top spot of her class, but she happened to miss out to somebody else, and she feels like she has a bit of a chip on her shoulder. Her family background was a little tough, but she overcame it to be an FBI agent. Maybe even interesting, her father is like a serial killer, and so she knows this. She's doing the opposite thing that he did. There's a lot of ways you could think through this character, even though perhaps it's not really written out. What happens is if you're a good actor and you happen to create a dynamic character, even with very little material, what they'll do sometimes, the writers, if they really like you, they really like your chemistry, and they really like what you're doing, they'll start to funnel in some of what you've put into your character before you began. Because you really, it's not just about reading lines. You have to think this person is in the middle of this cycle in their life. They're 28, they're 30, whatever age they're at, they are a particular character. They came to that through various experiences. And you could just tell Meghan Markle, she could be anyone. There was actually even a particular scene where I was like, she was trying to help one of the characters, but she looked like scared of him in the scene a bit. And I'm like, honey, I thought you trusted him and you liked him. That's why you're trying to help him, and you're not helping him. And an interesting comparison you could say would be the character of Spike on the Buffy the Vampire Slayer series. Now, if you've never watched it, you don't have to. I'm not saying you have to. But there's a character they introduced in season 2 named Spike. They introduced him in the 3rd episode of the season, I believe, if I remember right. And his character from the jump was just charismatic, compelling. You were engaged in his character. It's probably one of the best character introductions I've seen. And it's partly what they wrote for him, but a lot of it too is the actor. He just was interesting. The way he delivered lines was interesting. The way he interacted with other characters was interesting. And what happened was they were initially going to kill him off halfway through the season. They're like, no, we're not going to do that. And so they got him to the end of the season, and then they brought him back for 1 episode of season 3, and then he came back for season 4 through the rest of the series. There's a reason for that. It's because he was a really good character. And now that actor really hasn't done much else, to be honest. But he had one fantastic character that he was able to bring to life that people remember. Meghan Markle has not done any of that. I haven't seen Suits, but from what my understanding, what people have said is that basically Meghan Markle, you could replace her with anyone and nobody would notice. She's just such a generic actress that she's just not compelling. You could slap any other actress into that character of Rachel Zane, and not only could they do the part that she did, they could maybe even make it better. So why am I telling you all this background information? Because I've been very clear on the fact that I think that Meghan Markle is a really crummy actress. Well, the thing is, the world that Harry and Meghan are trying to build for themselves, the jobs that they are seeking, require an element of talent, which I don't think they have in this field. Meghan Markle is not really a creative. She never did anything outside her little bitty acting parts. Her blog was uninspiring. It was banal. It was very basic. There was nothing particularly interesting about it. And Harry is much the same. He barely graduated high school, and apparently he had to cheat on an art exam. Like a painting. Somebody had to help him paint or paint for him. Art is subjective. If you need somebody's help to paint something, and that was what they had to give him so he could graduate. Apparently, he was so bad that they had to give him the simplest thing to graduate with, and he still couldn't do it. That's how bad Harry is. But Harry had a great talent, I think, which was being a royal. He was actually pretty good at that. He was pretty good at interacting with people. He had this great affable nature. He was okay in the army, I think. I think some of his accomplishments have been overblown because that was part of his PR as a royal. So now they're in this space where they're in Hollywood. And they have two things. They could either rag on the royal family. Meghan could get in front of the camera, which we all know will probably be an epic disaster, or their new plan is to get behind the camera. So let me read you this little bit from The Sun. Instead, the self-pitying Sussexes will only feature behind the Netflix cameras. The drastic decision to drop their TV and book sniping will spare the royal family further pain. The couple have lashed out at King Charles, Camilla, William, and Kate since quitting the firm and moving to California. But 41 months on, their spectacular change of direction should end any more hurtful attacks and details about the lead up to Mexit. Sources say it's because they've run out of material, to the relief of audiences around the world fed up with their whining. One insider told The Sun that period of their life is over and there's nothing left to say. Meghan has recently signed with Hollywood talent agent WME, so that's William Morrison Endeavor, to explore a new career path. It is likely the vastly experienced firm advised her not to share every moment of her and Harry's lives with TV audiences. A source told us last year how the Netflix and memoir period was their era of visibility, that they had hoped 2023 would be their year of reconciliation with the royal family. So they want to get behind the camera. But how are they going to do that? What are they going to do behind the camera? Because again, if they want to be producers, they have to have an eye for good content and they have to hire the right people. And in Hollywood right now, it's very much regulated because they've gone in this completely woke direction where you have to have a certain amount of people that fit X categories that you have to sign on. The bad thing about that is that it inevitably means that you hire people based on their perhaps skin tone, sexual identity, something like that, rather than their talent. And that's what's happening in Hollywood. And that's why we've seen a decrease in, I think, quality films in a lot of ways, at least the big budget ones, is because they don't hire based on people's actual competency. They hire because they need to check a box. And Harry and Meghan are very much in this fashion. So you can see them going, well, you know what? You fit all these identity boxes. I'm going to hire you. But again, that might mean that they miss out on some good talent. The other issue is the need to hire good talent, and hiring costs money. So that means if they can't do it themselves, if they don't have a good eye for material, if they can't figure out what to do behind the scenes, that means they need to hire people to do all those little things, and that they are basically the figureheads. The problem with that is that it deeply cuts into your profit, because you have to pay all those different people to do X number of jobs because you can't at least do some of it yourself. And the reason why I think this will be a problem for Harry and Meghan, that they'll have to farm everything out, that they really won't get a kickback, is because of Meghan's interview with Variety and her explaining that she just loves rom-coms, and why doesn't anybody make rom-coms anymore? So go ahead and take a listen here.
My favorite rom-com of all time is When Harry Met Sally, but he put Julia Roberts in anything, and I'm gonna be a fan of those too. Yeah, I think we all miss just a good laugh. I just want a good old-fashioned rom-com.
All right, the issue with that is Meghan delivers nothing there. She just says, I like a good rom-com. We should make good rom-coms. I was like, that's nothing. How are you going to get to? Can you tell us what's wrong? Why we don't have those anymore? Is it the market? Is it the actors? Is it script writing? What is the issue? Why don't we have more rom-coms rather than just saying, I like rom-coms. We should do rom-coms. That is just such banal chit chat. It's nothing. There's nothing there. And so this idea, I think that Harry and Meghan are going to come through with all this original content. I'm like, yeah, no. I don't think you guys have anything to offer here. I don't think you have that much in the tank for this, because in your guys' minds, basically saying that we need rom-coms is the answer. I was like, that's great. But it's kind of like me with my channel. I started my channel because I thought there was some great channels out there, but I thought I could add something a little bit different. And so I decided to come out there and do that. And that requires creativity. It requires taking a leap. It's something very vulnerable to do that. But Meghan, I don't think, enjoys the vulnerability a lot, which is why I think she was a really crummy actress, because it does require you to be vulnerable and empathize with other people. So I think even though they claim that, oh, we're going to step away, what if every idea they have gets rejected? We've already seen a failure with Pearl. If Pearl was good, they would have signed it. They would have completed it regardless of the cost, because the name of Meghan Markle does have some clout, does have some pull. So if they say Meghan, I mean, they're going to say the Duchess of Sussex, which I mean, again is a name. But if they were going to market it as something created by Meghan, and it could have worked, they would have done it. The problem was that it was either in production hell or it was bad. It was already bad. It wasn't going to get better. And that there were enough indicators that this was going down the wrong path that Netflix is like, you know what? We're pulling the plug. We don't want anything to do with this. And if you think about it, that was one of their first creative endeavors, was Pearl. And Netflix shot it down. And all they have left is their reality TV show, which is what Netflix truly wanted. It's a reality TV show. They had that Live to Lead series, which absolutely bombed in nothing. And then they also had the Invictus documentary, which will come out later this year. But will anybody care? Because Harry is so damaging to the brand of the Invictus Games. Is anybody going to buy into the brand because he's now associated with it? That's a huge question. That's a huge problem. Will it be compelling? Will it be good? Will we see a lot of Meghan Markle in her very expensive clothing? Will we see that dumb thing? I think it was part of their promotion for the Dusseldorf where they're playing ping pong. I was like, who gives a crap if they're playing ping pong? They're not there. We're there to see the soldiers. We're not there to see you. I went to the Invictus Games in 2016. Now I was partially there to see Harry, I'm not gonna lie, because I did think he was kind of cute at the time. But I did actually truly enjoy watching the soldiers. I enjoyed supporting them. And although Harry and Meghan are a draw, they're not the real reason people come. People should come to support the soldiers, not just to see Harry and Meghan. But you just get this idea that it's now a way to promote themselves rather than a way to promote the troops. And that's a big problem for the Invictus Games going forward, because Harry and Meghan are so toxic, so damaged as a brand, that resurrecting them, trying to fix them, I think is almost impossible at this point, unless Harry and Meghan do radical changes. But again, here's the ultimate problem, is that if Harry and Meghan can't do original content, they'll lean back to what they did before, which is ragging on the royal family, because that's all they have. The only reason they have the position that they do is because of the royals. The only reason anybody pays attention to them is because of the royals. Without the royals, Harry and Meghan don't have anything. And so when you look at this broader picture, Harry and Meghan, yes, can say, you know what, we're leaving the dissing behind. We're going to go and forge our own way. But the moment for them to do that was when they first announced Mexit. You need to prove out of the gate that you can do this. But Harry and Meghan didn't. And so what Spotify, Netflix, and their other partners are worried about is, yes, we had this moment where they ragged on the royal family and hey, it made us a decent amount of money. But we're also on the line for a lot of their other projects, and they're bad. And Harry and Meghan are difficult to work for. Their staff are difficult to work for. They're very demanding. They demand a lot and yet produce very little. If you think about it, the deals that they've had, it's taken them forever to bring anything to the forefront. And what they're doing is not hard. So I think Harry and Meghan here, I think they're going to, like so many other things they've done, I think they're going to fail out here. And I think they're going to lean back on the tired and true method of their lives, which is complaining about everything in their lives. And in a desperate attempt to also make people think that Meghan is Diana, then maybe fake another Diana incident in order to try to gain sympathy and attention. The problem is that's falling unbelievably flat anymore. Nobody believes them. Their credibility is shot. So how are they going to rehab their brand? Is William Morris and Endeavor panicking over signing the damaged goods that is Meghan Markle when it comes to her branding? I'm sure they are. I'm sure they were livid with Meghan Markle's stunt in New York. They were probably incensed that she would do something so catastrophically stupid as claim that they had a high-speed car chase in New York City. And then next week, we also have Harry's trials, 2 of them. We have one about his visa status, and then we have another one where he'll go to the UK and present evidence, testify in front of a court, and then get caught up by a defense attorney. Won't that be fun? Because Harry and Meghan, they're victims of their own hubris. They think they are better than everybody else. They think that they can do anything and nobody will call them out on it. The problem is that people are calling them out on it, and their future is severely in doubt in Hollywood because talent trumps titles in a lot of ways. And what they're trying to do, you need talent. A title will only get you so far. You need actually creative skills to build your brand and go forward. So we'll see if Harry and Meghan can do this. But I just really think, I have a sinking feeling that at some point we'll once again hear the moans and bemoans about the British monarchy and how terrible it was and how they really pushed aside Meghan Markle, who was going to be the queen. I mean, because at this point, she's been out of it longer than she was in it, yet she still complains about it. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think of this video, and be on the lookout for my Jordanian royal fashion video on Royal Fashion News. It'll be coming soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.